Let me ask you something today. Why is it that two people can grow up in the same neighborhood, attend the same schools, even work the same job, and yet one ends up financially free while the other remains stuck in survival mode? We love to chalk it up to luck, timing, or connections. But what if the real difference lies in something less visible, but infinitely more powerful? The way they think. You see, wealth doesn't begin in your wallet. It begins in your mind. And the truth is, most people are unconsciously programmed to repel money rather than attract it. They've been conditioned to see money as scarce, success as selfish, and ambition as something to hide. But the wealthy, they think differently. They see money as a tool, not a taboo. They play long-term games with long-term minds. And most importantly, they've trained their thoughts to align with abundance, not limitation. In this video, we're going deep. We're going to uncover how to rewire your beliefs, shift your identity, and build the mindset of someone who naturally attracts wealth. This isn't about wishful thinking or some overnight hack. It's about mental mastery, daily action, and the kind of internal discipline that quietly builds empires. Your mind is your most valuable asset, and it's time to train it. Let's dive in. Number 1, the psychology of money. Money is never just about numbers. It's about stories. Deep, often invisible stories we absorb as children, passed down from our parents, our culture, and our environment. And those stories shape our financial destiny far more than any job, degree, or economic trend. If you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that, or rich people are greedy, then your subconscious likely associates wealth with stress, guilt, or even danger. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel explains that people's financial decisions are often driven by emotion, not logic. We think we're managing dollars and cents, but really, we're managing fear, insecurity, and ego. That's why someone can win the lottery and lose it all within a year, or why another person can start with nothing and build a fortune slowly over time. The difference isn't opportunity, it's mindset. This is where the concept of scarcity versus abundance comes into play. A scarcity mindset is rooted in fear. There's never enough, so I must hold on tight. An abundance mindset, on the other hand, believes that money is a flow, not a fixed pie. In Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker explains that wealthy people don't think in limits, they think in possibilities. They trust that value creates value, and that investing in growth pays off. But for most people, this kind of thinking feels unnatural. Why? Because they've unknowingly internalized mental blocks. Ideas like, I don't deserve wealth, if I make too much I'll lose friends, or having money means someone else goes without. These thoughts might never be said aloud, but they quietly sabotage every financial decision. You skip the promotion, avoid investing, or settle for less, not because you lack ability, but because your internal narrative says, stay small. Training your mind to attract wealth means first becoming aware of these subconscious patterns. It means realizing that your bank account is a reflection of your belief system more than your resume. Until you shift the way you think about money, no external strategy will truly stick. You might make more, but you'll find ways to lose it. You might save more, but you'll feel guilty spending it. Mindset is the foundation of every financial outcome, and until that foundation is strong, wealth will always feel unstable. The good news? You can change it. Your thoughts are not fixed. And the moment you start rewiring your beliefs, you'll begin to see that wealth isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Number 2, reprogramming limiting beliefs. If your beliefs are the software running your financial life, then it's time to ask, what programs are you running? For most people, limiting beliefs around money are so deeply ingrained they go completely unnoticed. You might find yourself procrastinating on asking for a raise, avoiding financial planning, or feeling guilty every time you make or spend money, and not know why. These reactions aren't random. They're symptoms of beliefs formed long ago, often in childhood. Maybe you watched your parents fight about bills, or saw wealth portrayed as corrupt in movies and media. Maybe you were praised for being humble, but never taught to feel worthy of financial success. Whatever the origin, these narratives can quietly sabotage your ability to create, attract, and sustain wealth. But here's the truth. Beliefs are not facts, they're stories. And like any story, they can be rewritten. Reprogramming begins with awareness. One powerful way to start is through journaling. Ask yourself, what did I learn about money growing up? What do I believe rich people are like? What would change in my relationships if I suddenly became wealthy? These prompts often reveal hidden scripts, like rich people are selfish, or I'm not smart enough to be financially free. Once these thoughts surface, they can be challenged and replaced. This is where repetition becomes your greatest ally. Neuroscience tells us that repeated thoughts strengthen neural pathways. What you tell yourself consistently becomes what you believe. So instead of letting old scripts run your life, begin speaking new ones, consciously and often. Mirror affirmations are a simple but powerful tool. Look yourself in the eye and say, I deserve to be wealthy. Money flows to me because I create value. I attract opportunities effortlessly. At first, these may feel awkward or even false, but that's only because they're unfamiliar. Keep going. The goal isn't to lie to yourself. It's to rewire your brain to accept abundance as your new normal. Inner child work can also play a transformative role. Picture your younger self, perhaps the version that first felt afraid of money or ashamed of wanting more. Speak to them, reassure them, let them know it's safe to succeed, that you don't have to sacrifice love or integrity to be wealthy, that abundance can be a force for good. Most importantly, understand this: wealth isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's not just for those born into privilege or gifted with rare talent. Wealth is available to anyone willing to claim it, anyone bold enough to think differently, act deliberately, and choose belief over fear. When you begin reprogramming your internal world, your external world will respond. You'll take more inspired risks. You'll attract better opportunities. You'll stop shrinking yourself to fit into other people's comfort zones. Rewriting your beliefs isn't easy. It takes daily effort, but it's the most important work you'll ever do, because the ceiling on your wealth has never been your job, your background, or your circumstances. It's been your beliefs. Change them and you change everything. Number 3, visualization and identity shifting. Visualization is often dismissed as wishful thinking, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful tools for rewiring the brain and transforming your life. It's not fantasy, it's mental rehearsal. Athletes use it to sharpen performance. CEOs use it to envision outcomes. And the wealthy, they use it to align their identity with their vision before the money ever shows up. When you visualize with intention, you teach your brain to believe something is possible before it becomes real. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill emphasized that success begins in the mind. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza builds on this by explaining how your brain doesn't distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's actually experienced. So when you visualize wealth, not just the numbers, but the confidence, the decision-making, the responsibility, you're programming your nervous system to operate from that elevated identity. This is where the shift begins. You don't wait until you're rich to start thinking like someone who builds wealth. You start now, not by buying expensive things you can't afford, but by making decisions as the future version of yourself would. The version of you who earns 10 times more doesn't scroll mindlessly or put off hard conversations. They protect their energy, prioritize wisely, and solve problems creatively. Visualization bridges the gap between who you are and who you want to become. It's a way to rehearse success so that when it arrives, it feels natural, not accidental. Here's a simple exercise to anchor this shift. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Now picture the version of you who earns 10x more. See them walking into a room. How do they carry themselves? What do they wear? How do they speak? More importantly, how do they make decisions? What do they say no to? How do they respond to challenges, distractions, or opportunities? Really feel it. Let your mind imprint that identity, because the more familiar it becomes, the more your actions will begin to match it. The truth is, your life will always rise or fall to the level of your identity. If you subconsciously see yourself as someone who just gets by, you'll find ways to reinforce that identity through small, consistent decisions that cap your potential. But if you begin seeing yourself as someone who creates wealth, adds value, and makes bold, intelligent moves, your behavior will follow suit. And when your behavior aligns with abundance, wealth becomes a natural byproduct. Identity isn't something you inherit, it's something you choose. So choose powerfully. Start visualizing not just the lifestyle you want, but the version of you who lives it every day. Step into that identity again and again until it becomes second nature. Because when your mind is trained to believe you're already that person, the world begins to mirror it back. Number 4, wealth-building habits and mental discipline. The greatest wealth isn't built in big, dramatic moments. It's built in small, consistent habits, practiced daily with discipline. Mental discipline is the invisible force behind every financial success story. It's what turns a mindset of abundance into tangible results. Without it, even the best intentions unravel in the face of impulse, emotion, or distraction. Mental discipline shows up in how you budget, how you invest, how you delay gratification, and how you stick to your goals when no one is watching. It's the quiet commitment to long-term thinking over short-term comfort. And it's this discipline, more than luck or intelligence, that separates those who build wealth from those who chase it endlessly but never catch it. Most people spend based on emotion. They buy when they're bored, stressed, or seeking validation. Emotional spending gives a temporary hit of pleasure, but it empties both your wallet and your confidence. The wealthy, however, spend intentionally. They understand the difference between consuming and investing. They don't chase the illusion of success through flashy cars or overpriced brands. They build real success through assets that appreciate in value and cash flow. They make decisions based on return, not reaction. They know that every dollar either works for you or against you, and they choose to make money their employee, not their escape. This is where daily habits matter. Just like physical fitness, wealth is built through repetition and structure. You don't get rich from one lucky stock pick any more than you get fit from one workout. You get rich by training your financial muscles the same way you'd train your body, with focus, discipline, and a plan. That means setting a monthly budget and reviewing it weekly. It means automating your savings and investments before you ever see the money. It means reading about financial literacy instead of binging distractions. And it means honoring your future self more than your present cravings. One of the most powerful habits the wealthy adopt is delayed gratification. Instead of chasing immediate pleasure, they play the long game. They understand that compound interest doesn't just apply to money, it applies to habits, relationships, knowledge, and self-control. A small decision made daily, like saving 10% of your income, avoiding impulse buys, or spending an hour learning a new skill, might seem insignificant in the moment, but over time it creates massive results. It builds momentum. And momentum, combined with consistency, becomes unstoppable. Wealthy people don't think in days, they think in decades. They ask themselves, will this decision serve me in 5 years? Not just will this feel good today? They value assets over image. They invest in businesses, real estate, stocks, and skills, not things that lose value the moment they leave the store. And most importantly, they have systems, routines, boundaries. They treat their time with respect, their money with clarity, and their energy with intention. That's the foundation of financial freedom. So if you want to attract wealth, you have to train your mind the way you train your body, daily, intentionally, and with structure. You don't wait until you feel motivated. You build a routine that moves you forward, even on the hard days. Wealth doesn't reward those who dabble. It rewards those who show up, who practice, and who stay the course. Mental discipline might not be flashy, but it's what makes success sustainable. When your habits align with your highest vision, wealth isn't a dream, it's a result. Number 5, energy, environment, and wealth alignment. Wealth isn't just about strategy, it's about energy. The people you surround yourself with, the media you consume, and the conversations you engage in all shape your energetic blueprint. If your environment is filled with scarcity talk, constant complaining, gossip, fear, or lack, you begin to absorb that vibration, even without realizing it. The brain is wired for mirroring. You take on the energy of those around you. So if you're surrounded by people who believe money is hard to earn, that the system is rigged, or that wanting more is greedy, you'll unconsciously limit yourself to match that energy. That's why one of the most overlooked keys to building wealth is upgrading your environment. You need to be around people who think bigger, who talk about ideas, not just problems, who see money as a tool for good, not a source of stress or shame. This is where the law of vibration comes in. Everything in the universe, including you, operates on a frequency. Thoughts carry energy, emotions carry energy, and money, believe it or not, is energy too. When your dominant frequency is fear, desperation, or resentment, you repel wealth, even if you consciously want it. But when you begin to embody higher vibrations, gratitude, integrity, generosity, you naturally align with abundance. You begin to make decisions from a place of confidence and clarity instead of fear and lack. You speak differently. You walk differently. You show up to opportunities with a different presence, and that presence becomes magnetic. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. That single idea changes everything. Wanting money means nothing if your self-image screams not enough, but becoming someone who thinks, speaks, and acts in alignment with abundance, that's the energetic shift that unlocks it all. When you raise your standards, not just in what you demand from others, but in what you allow from yourself, you begin to elevate your frequency. And in doing so, you attract not just money, but aligned opportunities, relationships, and experiences. True wealth starts on the inside, long before it shows up in your bank account. The real work, becoming the kind of person who naturally creates, receives, and multiplies abundance because it matches who you are at your core. Wealth doesn't begin in your wallet, it begins in your mind. The difference between those who thrive financially and those who constantly feel stuck isn't just opportunity or intelligence, it's mindset. It's the daily thoughts you entertain, the beliefs you hold, the standards you refuse to lower, and the discipline you commit to, even when no one's watching. You have the power to shift everything by shifting the way you think. You can reprogram years of scarcity thinking. You can override old money fears. You can start right now, not by doing something huge, but by doing something intentional. Here's a challenge for the next 7 days. Every morning, speak one powerful affirmation about your financial identity. I am worthy of wealth. Money flows to me through value I create. Abundance is my natural state. Then spend 5 minutes visualizing the version of you who already lives that truth. See them in detail, feel it, and finally, track just one habit that aligns with that identity. Whether it's saving $10, reading a chapter of a money book, or saying no to a distraction that cost you time. Do this for 7 days and notice how your energy shifts. Because when your mind starts to believe, your behavior begins to change. And when behavior changes, outcomes follow. You were not born to struggle. You were born to rise. Train your mind and your wealth will follow.